Well, guess where I'm at? I'm in a church gymnasium for middle school.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm sorry. If you want to introduce the show, Pat, please do.
Yeah, welcome to my prep talk here. Or sports talk. I'm sorry, and we're here again on Wednesday night. We got Tom and James here to talk sports with us. I'm looking forward to another rousing conversation here of a lot of different things going on this week with in the sports world. I'm wearing my shirt today because today is National Signing Day, so I have that on. Just not that it's the best signing day ever, but teams, high school kids all signed their letters of intent today to join some of the college ranks in football and other sports. So kind of an exciting day for them. And we're sitting here amongst just missed the snowstorm that's going up the East Coast. So we're kind of excited about that. They're getting dumped on a whole bunch of snow. That's for sure tonight.
So
Xavier Worthy signed?
Xavier Worthy did sign. Yes, he did.
I had not heard that.
Yes, Xavier Worthy did sign. 440.
Anyways, I'm at a gymnasium with a basketball court behind me. I plan on just showing up randomly from different places of America every episode. So don't be surprised if you find me in a different place next week.
That's right.
Now, in the meantime, I learned a lot about the signing day. I did not know. Thank you to Patrick.
I just felt I was talking a little bit with James. He didn't know much about the signing day and how it all works out, and I kind of filling him in a little bit, Tom, on National Signing Day as it is today.
So at this point, I'm going to let it be, but I'm in the gymnasium waiting for the conversations. So Tom, you got the agenda?
We had the hopes for some football this weekend, and obviously from a Michigan standpoint, they were dashed a little bit by the occurring COVID cases at Michigan.
Yeah.
We hoped that they'd play Iowa, and obviously that was called off yesterday. But it'd have been nice to watch them play one more game. I mean, obviously we saw 6 of them, and it gave them 6 more games than they would have had back in August. So,
they still might play a bowl game. I mean, I haven't heard that the bowl game is off the table.
You haven't? No.
No, I have not.
There's teams that are dropping. There's teams that are saying they don't want to play, and there's bowls that are dropping. So someone may still grab them. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think the number I heard now is it's down to 30 bowl games, so that's 60 teams, and there's only 110 Division I teams.
Sure.
But that includes the MAC and everybody in those conferences that aren't playing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it really is the Power 5 conferences and then a handful of others. And that puts it, at the 60 number roughly. And I guess the question is, do they want a Michigan over Rutgers and see what kind of draw they get?
Exactly.
I certainly hope they get another game. They need the practices. I would like to see them have some practices after January 1. And to be honest, there's some kids coming in early that could use that practice time early. Sure. That would be fantastic for them, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
It'd be an awesome benefit. That's always what happened in the past for, those extra 15 practices or whatever they got before a bowl game. I don't know what the number is this year, but still, I mean, that's a benefit that you'd have that so many teams, pride themselves on, and especially this year where you haven't had that much time to really work on. That's the situation. Michigan and Iowa obviously dropped. Purdue and Indiana obviously dropped their game. So 4 teams out of the Big Ten are not playing on championship Saturday so far that I've heard of. I don't know if anybody's heard anything more, but
I haven't heard anything today.
We did have an announcement earlier in the week that Harbaugh wanted to stay. He's committed to Michigan. So all these quotes that are out there. I mean, obviously, it's a good thing for signing day to have that cleared up. And I think he was clear with the players on he's staying or whatever. We did lose a couple players early on. I think that chose UCLA and
and Maryland.
Maryland, right? Maryland. We lost one guy to Maryland, but yeah, obviously every year you lose a few guys here and there. So, we did sign our in-state running back, Donovan Edwards. He stayed home and agreed to sign with Michigan, so that's good there. We got our number one quarterback coming back here, signing out of the JJ McCarthy. That'll be big to have him come into the number two quarterback overall in the rankings and 5-star. So hopefully that's something that they can work on down the road here with him. He's got a lot of high accolades coming in, no question about it.
That doesn't always mean much, but so did
Right.
Shea Patterson, remember?
Right, exactly. But Michigan State's still going to play their game. They're going to play their game as of right now. I know they're playing Maryland, I think. So they're going to play that game. A lot of debate on how they matched up the teams this week before the championship game and who played who and why they matched up certain people. But it is what it is, I guess, on that situation. But it's a fun time of the year. Usually, this is the kind of time of year when you get into that and you're looking forward to the bowl. You're getting into bowl pools. Everybody's filling out their bowl pools to get into them, and you spend the holidays checking on the bowls and who you picked and all that kind of stuff. So you look online and you try to see the prognosticators say, and I think Sunday it'll be finalized after Saturday's games. We got some big games coming up this weekend with Clemson and Notre Dame going back at it again.
Well, a question for you guys. Now, Notre Dame won the first game by 7, if I remember. In overtime, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember. It was overtime.
It might have been overtime, yeah. It's back up. We're in there, Clemson.
So they won the first game, and if, let's say, Notre Dame wins again, does that push Clemson out of the top 4?
I think, in my eyes, it would push them out of the top 4. I think they're in a position where I think they're third, so they shouldn't. Even though it'll be their second loss, so that's the situation. Both the Notre Dame.
Well,
so lost both games. It moves Texas A&M potentially into a spot there. It moves everybody up. The big question would be which win is better? Is it Alabama beating Florida or Notre Dame beating Clemson? Could Notre Dame move to one spot?
After Florida's major faux pas the other day.
Oh my gosh, huh?
I mean, I was rooting for LSU the whole time anyway, but I didn't expect to win that game that way.
Oh my gosh, no way, no way.
So I guess the interesting part about that is if Notre Dame wins, and Clemson should get pushed out of the top 4, because they do have 2 losses. If Texas A&M has 1 loss, or and I think that's what they have right now.
Yeah.
They should get in. Ohio State should get in. Now, do I think that Ohio State deserved the opportunity to play Northwestern? No, I don't think. I mean, they didn't meet the criteria that
right. Yeah, exactly.
Big Ten put in place, but so I guess we just get to watch whoever they feel is the best matchup.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand. I read a little article on how they matched them up and underneath Ohio State and Northwestern, obviously by rivalry or somebody playing, they matched it up rivalry-wise or whatever. Indiana, Purdue for the bucket or whatever. So a lot of things that way were awkward. Obviously, Northwestern and Ohio State going ahead. I mean, right now I think Ohio State's favoring that game, obviously by a couple touchdowns at least. But
it really should have been Northwestern and Indiana. That's what it should have been.
Oh yeah. I really think it should have been that way all day, and then you just evaluate from there. I mean, obviously, if whatever happens, and they let the committee decide if they want to take a 5-0 Ohio State team.
Well, Ohio State still would have played a crossover game.
Sure.
So they would have probably played Iowa.
Sure. Right.
And they probably would win. They're still better. And then they're an undefeated team. And it's not like in normal years where you get the bonus game of the conference champion to prove that they're really a better team.
Sure.
That's been my big gripe about Notre Dame. They play 12 games. If they go 11-1, they don't get the bonus of playing a 13th game like everybody else does. So tough luck for them.
Right.
But now that's what should have happened, but that's not what's happening.
No.
So, Ohio State's going to beat Northwestern, and they're going to beat them by a bunch.
Yeah.
They're going to beat them by a whole bunch because the name of the game in college football today is scoring, and Northwestern can't score enough to keep up with Ohio State, and they can't stay on the field long enough to keep Ohio State from getting in the end zone regularly.
Well, they're going to try to impress. They want to blow it out. Maybe bump them up from a 4 to a 3 or 3 to a 2 or something of that nature, and wait to see what happens in the other games.
Yep. So
I mean,
I think that's what's going to. I think they'll end up winning, and they'll get one of the seeds depending on what happens with the Clemson game. And so Alabama's playing in the SEC championship game. Is that correct?
Yeah, Alabama, Florida.
And Florida has one loss.
One loss.
Or do they have two after losing to LSU?
Yeah, because Texas A&M beat them.
Yeah.
So Florida beat Georgia. Texas A&M beat Florida. So here's what happened. What they were really upset about today on the radio discussion. Florida loses to LSU and drops one spot on the BCS rankings. Somebody else lost, and they dropped 8 spots.
This vote bullshit that's still going on.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand. I would just assume if they're going to do this kind of stuff, then open it up to 8. You got 8 rankings. Play 8 games down to a champion.
No, it's not about rankings. See, there's the problem. The rankings are still a vote. Cannot be about a vote.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I really like Notre Dame this year. Well, let's just vote them in.
Right.
No.
I mean, I don't have a problem too with even now. Even you sit there and think if they go old style, but why not just take your winners? So Florida and Alabama are going to play. The winner of that game gets in. Everybody ACC are going to get in, and then maybe take a wild card if you want to. But otherwise,
or take 3 wild cards, because then you do open it up to a Cincinnati or a Boise State or someone that maybe has shown worthiness. The other side of that is, let's say Florida had one loss and went into this Alabama game and fought them tooth and nail and lost 31-30.
That was the way it was.
Wow, they might be worthy of a spot. And then, you got to do your pairings and figure where they fit to see who's going to play who.
Oh, yeah.
And then once it's done, it's locked in. It's all the rounds are locked in. One plays 8 and so on, and it's not reading at the end of it.
Sure. Yeah. 100%. That'd be ideal, and that's the way it should be. I think they should all play that way, where they're on there and that's what there's, and if Florida had done the job, and that would have probably, moved them around a little bit, and that would have made that game so much bigger between Alabama and Florida now. So it hurts the other guys.
Now, let me ask a question to both of you. If there is a reason to restructure a gameplay, they have no rules about this. Like, COVID was not expected last year. They had no idea this would be happening, and now we're rejiggering the entire architecture of gameplay and playoffs and finals, right?
Well, not really, because they've had this 4-team playoff now for, 4 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's always based on a vote. They call it the BCS vote, and it's a vote. And there's always someone, and as an example, Penn State with one loss played at the conference championship game over Ohio State, ended up with one loss, and they took Ohio State for the Final Four, even though Ohio State only played 12 games and Penn State played 13. It came down to a vote. Now, Ohio State got trucked by Clemson, but it shouldn't come down to a vote.
No, shouldn't come down to a vote. Especially when
any sport. Tell me any sport. And I don't care if it's college hockey. Tell me the name of the sport where they vote to see who plays in the championship.
Which is what makes it more interesting for me as a water cooler.
the problem with that is Western Michigan, as an example, a couple of years ago went undefeated.
Yeah.
Did they deserve to be in the national championship? No, their schedule didn't dictate it. But if you had 8, then yes, they would. They could be an at-large.
Yeah.
You got to take your 5 conference champions. I don't care if Northwestern wins and is 7-6. They're a conference champion. And if you look at every sport on the planet is played based on whether you win or you lose, not based on a whole bunch of guys smoking cigars in a room and voting on who's going to play.
There you go. There you go.
Here's a great story, and I know Pat has heard this. The New York Yankees have played in how many World Series in 120 years?
12?
Oh, no. They've won 27, I think, or 28.
Yeah, 28.
They've actually played in 42 or 43, which means they played in 35% of all the World Series that have ever been played.
Does that involve the Mafia?
Yeah, probably. So if you're a Yankee fan, like a lot of people are, I'm a Yankee fan. As the year ends, let's say that the Yankees and Boston and Baltimore are all tied at the end of the year. You know what? Just put the Yankees in. They got the best record. They've always had the best. Just vote them in.
Yeah.
How stupid is that?
Yeah. I think we created this thing, the BCS, because people had issues with voting, and Michigan was involved in that last one that was like that in 1997 or whatever.
Yep.
And they voted Michigan national championship by somebody, and Nebraska was the other national champion by the writers and the coaches or something.
But they never played.
So they never played. They never even played because they were both in different divisions. Nebraska was still in the big 8 or 12. So, I mean, you created this to hopefully get that out of the realm of things where you're voting, but you're still voting. And it's like,
and the other thing is that cute little gym you're sitting in right now, that team that plays there, at the end of a season, if they're good enough, they play for a championship.
Yeah.
And if they win it, they get a big trophy. If they lose it, they get a little trophy.
Right.
But they actually play for it. They don't have the athletic directors all get together and sit in a room and go, I like that team. Let's just give them the trophy.
Yeah. More people are going to watch them on TV. Let's put them in there. We're going to get a bigger crowd.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you can think of it that way, but settle it on the field. NFL settles it on the field. NBA settles it on the court. Collegiately, you settle
college basketball. They don't say, well, Duke's always the best team. They just get the championship. Just give it to them.
Let's put them in the Final Four automatically every year. I mean, that's what it's come down to with the BCS is that, we're going to put these guys in the. I mean, how many times has it been Alabama and Clemson so far? It's getting as old as UConn women's basketball winning every year because there was no parity.
Right.
And here they said, this is going to create parity. This is going to allow for the other teams to be involved. How many times has it been involved? So the debate can go on, and it should be addressed. They know it's the problem, and no one's willing to step up and say, let's fix it. And that's the same.
Sam and I talked about this. You're better off playing video game sports and having people watch who wins and who loses and forget the whole politic of this cigar room decision making.
Exactly right.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, they did bring Condoleezza Rice in, so she's now the female in the room to try and make everybody feel better about it.
Is she still in there? Is she still?
Well, she was last year.
I know she was. 100%.
Is it called payola? You have to buy into the room like a high stakes table.
Pat could afford it. Pat, get in there.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I can afford it.
You can. Good, do it.
But I mean, and that's the thing. Does it get down to the point where people get tired of it? It's like, who wants to tune in and watch, the same two teams every year? It's like, all right.
Well, I don't have a problem when those same two teams are undefeated and they're playing a representative schedule. I don't have a problem with that.
Sure.
But when Clemson doesn't have to play Florida State and they don't have to play Notre Dame, and those are the two other teams in their conference that are really worthy. Okay.
Yeah.
Ohio State ends up playing a couple of crossover games and they have to play Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State. They're always playing a fairly representative schedule. Even if Michigan hasn't come close to beating them, it's still a tough schedule. And Clemson goes out and has to play, let's see, South Carolina. No, they're in the SEC. Who do they play? Whoever. It's nobody.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you go out to the Pac-12 and, so you have a one-loss Washington team. And they don't get in because Clemson was 12-0 and ended up 13-0 because their crossover championship game was against, against Harvard, whoever. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they win the championship, if that's how it's set up, you're in because you win your championship game, then go. That's how it should be.
All right. Let me ask you one last question.
Sure.
Army versus Air Force, right?
Yes, I think it was Army versus Air Force. Yeah.
What league do they fit in football? I mean, is there a sort of like
they're independent, aren't they?
I think they're both independent. Army,
Navy, and
Air Force are all independents. Like Notre Dame is an independent.
So like Michigan and Michigan State University, they kind of have that minute, but these people are on their own.
Yeah. They are. Yeah. They are. Service academies are on their own. Notre Dame's on their own. Who else is it, Pat?
Service Academy, Notre Dame.
There's one other team. Like it used to be Boise State, and those guys were all independent, but they're not.
Division.
So they never touch any of this playoff stuff at all. They're just playing within their own team or their own group.
Well, the record, they can still get consideration, but not that high.
Yeah, and they'll play Power 5 teams all across the country. Like they play Notre Dame. Notre Dame plays at least 2 service academies every year.
Now,
Boise State played a few years ago, and they were undefeated. Coastal Carolina is this year's version. They're undefeated, and they're going to play Tulsa this weekend in their conference title game or whatever. And they're going to play Tulsa, and if they win, they'll be undefeated, but they won't get any consideration, I don't think. They might get into one of those odd games, but they won't be in the BCS consideration.
And if there was 8 teams in, then you know what? I would consider them one of the 8.
Oh yeah, they've won games. They played BYU. They've beaten. They've almost played playoff games. And I just heard today that their coach just signed a deal to keep him at Coastal Carolina through 2027. So anybody sitting there thinking, oh, let's get this guy. He's the hottest guy on the planet. Well.
Until Michigan dumps Harbaugh and says, "Okay, we'll throw $10 million a year at him," of course, then he goes. I mean,
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, so
James, what was your question you were going to ask?
The last thing I was going to ask was this: does the gameplay with the military people and teams and the other teams outside of that affect the results for the playoffs for the college?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, like a loss-win thing?
Oh, yeah, I tell you, if you lost to one of the service academies, a loss is still a loss.
Yeah.
It's a non-conference game, but it's a loss.
Got it. So it just ranks in there. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michigan had to beat Army last year on a nail biter.
Overtime or whatever. Yeah.
A nail biter down there at the big house. So sometimes they do go in and upset, Navy and Army were pretty good there. Air Force was pretty good there for a few years, And they always, they battle out over the military award for the team that wins each. Yeah. And those 3 always play each other every year. So.
Well, thanks.
But yeah, so like we talked about, Cincinnati, Texas A&M, Coastal Carolina, all teams having great years. 1 losses, 0 losses. I think Cincinnati's lost. I don't think Coastal Carolina hasn't lost. A&M's got maybe 1 loss. So all these guys are right there on the cusp, but because they're not named certain teams, they're not being considered.
Right.
It's a tough thing. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, football here in the last weekend of title games coming up, and there's some good games to watch this weekend. And like I say, we'll know all the bowl games starting on Sunday night. They'll announce all the bowl games the matchup for the BCS obviously will be decided on Sunday night also. So we'll know number 1 against number 4, number 2 against number 3. Changing a little bit here, we're going to talk a little bit about U of M and MSU early season college basketball. All of them, both teams have started undefeated. Had a few challenges so far, and they've just gotten into the Big Ten league play. And Michigan pulled out, hung on for a victory against Penn State the other night. Good game.
Very good game.
Michigan State hasn't quite started the league play yet, but I think they're about to start here this week.
Yeah, and Michigan doesn't play again until Christmas Day, so they've got, got a big break
Maryland?
here.
They play Maryland on Christmas Day?
I think that is correct, yes.
Maryland or Nebraska? I know they're due for
Nebraska. I'm sorry, it's Nebraska, yeah.
Nebraska, and then they get Maryland on New Year's Eve, I think. So they'll separate each other out. There's been some issues with COVID on the basketball court, but Michigan's looking good. They got some young talent in there helping out. They lost one of their starting center. Davis went down for a few days here. He's going to be gone for a few weeks on a leg injury. But
yeah, they're going to have some real issues without Austin Davis.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if the big fella can pound the minutes out there once they get into the Big Ten schedule.
They'll get him in foul trouble, Pat. What? As a coach, what would you do?
Yeah, they'll come at him and challenge him a little bit.
They'll switch someone who's a little smaller, quicker, who can attack the rim and put him in a bad position, and he'll pick up 2 fouls before the first TV timeout. Yeah. And then what do you do?
Right. Yeah, you're going to be in those predicaments. Brandon Johns is going to have to come in. I think you're going to have to shuffle a few guys around a little bit. I mean, does it pay to have Wagner and 6'9"? I still think Wagner needs to produce more. I don't know if he's taking a back seat yet still or what. But all the hype to him, Tom, you might know more on that. But I just watch him sometimes. I think he needs to be a little bit more. Somebody made an analysis the other day that was doing the game and said he pre-thinks his play or his move before he's moving. He's got to just get in there and make his move and do it without thinking about it. Sometimes I think he has to think it through too much. What do you think?
Well, I watched 2 games with Chris, and we watched both games, the one before Austin Davis got hurt and the one when he got hurt.
Yeah.
And we were watching Franz too, and I have to be honest, when Austin Davis went out for whatever, not when he got hurt, but just came out of the game, and Franz went out because he had 2 fouls.
Yeah.
They brought in Williams, they brought in Dickinson, and they brought in Shawnee Brown. And that was the day that Livers didn't score until like there was a minute left. Yeah. And they played so well together.
Yeah.
It was unreal. I mean, it really was. All of those guys are starters that are coming in as a second string. And we all remember the bad boy days when you brought in John Sally and you brought in Dennis Rodman and Vinnie Johnson. Holy crap. Yeah. Those guys, the speed, the athleticism, going against the other team's second players, destroyed them. Well, when you take Dickinson and you slide him up to a starter, and you don't really have that guy on the second line anymore, and Wagner disappears when Dickinson's on the floor. He just disappears.
Yeah.
And I understand why, because you dump the ball down to a 7'1" kid that's playing pretty well. That's a much better shot than me trying to create or shooting a 3.
Yeah, he's respotting or something. Yeah.
So if Austin Davis is playing and you can keep Franz Wagner on the floor, then I think it's awesome. Because look at the rewards that Davis got from Wagner being as aggressive as he was. He wasn't scoring, but he was being aggressive, throwing balls up. I think in that game before he got hurt, he had Austin Davis had 10 points, the first 10 points of the game. Should have had 12, got called for a foul on an offensive rebound.
Yeah.
And most of those plays, he got the ball when somebody else did something. He didn't create anything. They didn't dump it into him. He didn't shimmy and shake and take a shot. It was all being aggressive, somebody else attacked the rim, and he either got a rebound or a pass for a great play. Yeah. And that's one of the things that Wagner's still doing. He's not scoring, but he's attacking. And anytime someone who's 6'9" and can attack the rim, it changes what the defense does. They have to attack him. And boy, Austin Davis reaped every reward of that.
Yeah. I just think he sometimes obviously the big fella there is he's being aggressive inside. He goes up like you always said. He's going in there and dunking. He's going up there and dunking, being aggressive inside, not laying it in. He's going in there and two hands slamming it. So he's got that part of his game. But I think sometimes they're really going into him a lot, and some of the other guys are just out there watching. They're waiting for it to be kicked out for the three. I like the Chauncey Brown. I like him.
Chauncey Brown, he's excellent.
He's been a great addition, transfer from Wake Forest. Smith, the point guard's done some good things out there. We're still waiting for our two guys, Brooks and Wagner, I think, to really, step it up and improve their game. I don't know if they're really. I mean, maybe it's just me. I'm missing them a little bit. Maybe it's. I don't know. Have you watched that all, James? Any of them, or seen any of that at all? I mean, there's something there. I mean, obviously, they're doing well, and I think they've beaten teams they're supposed to win. But this will be the big test coming up here, and
it's going to get a lot tougher.
I mean, they were picked preseason, finished 5th or 6th, I think, in that range. So, there's some teams out there. But you look at now. I mean, Illinois has lost. There's some teams that are losing. So the preseason favorite of Illinois is now turned into the season favorite of the Michigan State Spartans, or Iowa. Obviously, Iowa's.
Like Chris said, it was unfair that Garza got to come back. Hang on for a second.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Him coming back was really. This guy, he's a center for Iowa, James, and he's 7 foot 6'11".
I'm gonna tell you this.
He's only about 6'8". He's just really, really good. Luka Garza.
Mm-hmm.
He's an excellent NBA level player.
Yeah.
He can score from anywhere.
Yeah.
He's powerful enough to score unless they put somebody a lot bigger on him.
Yeah.
He will do very well in the league. It's he's toying with everybody in the Big Ten. He really is. And by the way, he's 23 already or whatever. So
oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, this is his 5th year, I think.
He is a man.
And, can you imagine if he gets another year? Holy crap!
Yeah. Well, he's got a good supporting cast because he kicks it out, and some of those shooters, when I watched, they don't miss. They're making jumpers, so they got a great inside-out game going right now that is very hard to stop. I watched him the other night playing. He looked tough.
He's really good, and like you said, he's got a very good supporting cast. And I get really concerned putting Luka Garza on the floor and having Hunter Dickinson cover him. That would be horrific.
Oh yeah. Well, you heard they played together all summer though.
Yep.
They trained. They worked out together. So Dickinson, Garza, and another big fella in the league all worked out together.
I think you got to start Johns in that situation, and Johns has to be the guy on him. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could put Wagner on him because Wagner would do some things on the other end of the floor.
Sure.
If Garza stayed on him.
Great problems, yeah.
He's quicker and longer, and that might be something that would work.
Yeah.
Because Garza can't cover. I mean, he can't cover Dickinson. He can't. He's just not big enough. He's older and smarter, but if Dickinson keeps his hands in the air and doesn't shoot from his shoulders, Garza can't stop him.
Yeah. I do like Dickinson's free throws. He does a good job there.
Yeah.
The other night against Penn State, he had the rebound. He outlets it to Williams, and Williams is probably about a 40 or 50% free throw shooter right now. And I watched him play the one game, and I thought, and he came over half court. And sure enough, they followed him right away. I'm like, oh, jeez. And he went to the line. He missed.
Williams, I tell you, he's going to be in 3 years, 2 or 3 years. He's going to be an enormous stud.
Williams, you like? Yeah.
I like him a lot. I like everything about his game.
He's got a high say.
Well, he reminds me a lot of Shawnee Brown. He's just too young,
Yeah. Well, they always talked about the other kid too, the left-hander who can jump through the roof. And he's come out for a few games, but he hasn't. He's a guard.
Zeb Brown?
Zeb Jackson.
Yeah, Zeb Jackson. Yeah,
Zeb
he's the new guard. Yeah, yeah.
Freshman. He's still kind of feeling his way out, but he could be a factor down the road for us. Um, as far as depth wise goes, if you run into some issues, you got to bump some people around. I think he's
Yeah.
6'5", so you could always take him and move Wagner down inside and Livers and Johns and put a front line in there like that maybe. Because right now, I mean, they got Wagner out there on the wing sometimes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to that. I can't even sit here and say that any one team is going to win the Big Ten. Ohio State has a good team.
Yeah, right now.
Michigan State, obviously, there's a handful of them that are very good.
Yeah, I really like State. I think State's got a lot of depth. I think they can go cold sometimes, and it hurts them. But they transition well. They do all the things that those teams do. The guard play, Watts and Rocket Watts. I think sometimes is a little bit better than Lawyer. But the big guys inside, the guy that threw out there against Duke, I didn't know he was on the team. All of a sudden, that might have been his first game. The guy played number 34. He was out there just dominating inside, and they went into Duke and win. And I think they'll be tough to handle again as usual.
Oh yeah. No matter what, they'll be tough. It'll be fun to watch. I'm just glad that they're playing. I just just happy that they're out there and they get this chance. It'll be really interesting to see for Michigan's situation. If you look at their starting lineup today, Austin Davis is probably not going to get asked to come back for a sixth year.
Right.
And everybody gets another year if they want to. This year does not count against eligibility at all.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Which means Garza could come back again, right?
He come back as a 24-year-old.
Yeah. But he won't. He's going to make some money. But Austin Davis probably won't get asked back. Yeah. Wagner's going to leave no matter how poor of a year he has.
Yeah.
Livers is going to leave no matter how poor of a year he has.
Yeah.
And Shonda Brown has no eligibility left except for the getting a free pass this year.
Mm-hmm.
So he might come back.
Yeah.
But you got so many kids coming in, committed kids coming in.
Yeah.
And you look at those kids coming in there; they don't want to sit not behind a Shonda Brown or Livers. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah, no, I think you'll see that too. I think you'll see him move on, and hopefully things will be better, and they'll have a good draft, and or go overseas and play. But yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's one of those kind of deals. But yeah, exciting college basketball coming in, and I know we touched a little bit about earlier on the signing day. State got a few guys to sign. I think I saw some of the rankings. They were 9th ranked recruiting class. I think Michigan's going to end up maybe 2 or 3. I know Wisconsin nationally was higher than Michigan. Michigan, the last ranking nationally, I saw them at 17 and nationally, and Wisconsin was 15 nationally. Penn State, I didn't see Penn State around much, but I think they were in that mix too, in the teens there. But yeah, I mean, obviously they do their signing day today, and that's on today. But always the signing days pay off in 4 years when the kids finally leave, and they find out if they are really worthy of their stars.
Well, we have seen many times that they're not.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were ranking the other night the Mount Rushmore of recruiting classes for Michigan, and they had on there, they put on their Rashawn Gary, and they put on their Peppers, and they had on their
where was Derek Green?
Yeah, no. Yeah, Derek Green wasn't on there. The guy they just got last year, I think he was honorable mention. They had Ryan Mallett as an honorable mention. They put in some honorable mention guys, but yeah, I'm like, as far as each school in their rankings, as far as the kids coming out of high school and their 5 stars and Mount Rushmore and all that kind of stuff, it was kind of funny, but yeah, obviously the signing day is a big deal, and the kids get a chance. They're not quite as pronounced this year as other years, maybe at their high school in front of all their peers or doing it, and at the schools or whatever, So there's a lot of things that way, but we'll see how that pans out, when we got bowl season. But just how we got you here, I know we'll be back on the holiday here recording, but New Year, your Christmas list, your New Year wish list, I guess, would be something I put on the thing to discuss as far
James,
as
go ahead. You give us your wish list.
Lions.
holiday for the new year 2021.
Lions 2021. I guarantee you they will not win, but they will give it a better. I like a lot of the directions they're taking the group in, the organization in, and it's very energetic to have that passion. But guess what? It happened how many times? I'm not sure. I gave up. I just don't give up yet because I'm a diehard Detroit fan.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's my New Year's wish. This is Tigers win and Lions win.
Tigers and Lions.
2021.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom? What do you think? New Year's stuff.
Well, I number one, I hope Harbaugh signs and makes a commitment to do what he started doing.
Sure.
I don't like this version of Jim Harbaugh. I don't.
Yeah.
And when I hear stories from John Bacon and others that some of the fire seems to be gone, and I did hear some really good news yesterday. I didn't know this, but Schlissel is on his way out.
President?
Yeah. And
I hear a little grumblings on that.
Yeah, and I don't know this to be a fact. I'm just speculating. I just know that 2 years ago, Jim was told by Schlissel to calm down on the sidelines. It's bad for the image of U of M. And I got to tell you, it looked like he took it to heart because all of last year and this year we can give everybody a pass, but my God, the lack of fire. I mean, the year before, Harbaugh was going off on officials.
Sure.
And, really, really being animated with his players.
Sure.
And last year, my God, I don't think he picked up a personal foul for arguing with an official.
Yeah.
And some of that, you wonder, and no one knows, of course, what's going on behind the scenes with him and his family and kids and wife and everything else. But he just didn't seem to have that fire. So my wish list is that he gets signed and he brings some fire back.
Yeah.
And to be honest, another piece with him is no more frickin' entitlement. None. I don't care who the hell you are. If it's true what Joe Milton said, my conversation with Joe Milton is, here's your transfer paperwork.
Yeah. You talked about that a little bit last week, yeah.
And you know what? I don't care. I don't give a shit. Get off my team.
Yeah.
I don't want you on my team.
Yeah. 100%. That's where you get that situation where no one's bigger than the team, and that's a shame. And I like I say, I think it'll be if Schlissel leaves and they can get things going. That's no question about it.
So that's my wish list sports wise for next year. I would also, if I give me a second one, I hope that Juwan has a great year this year.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see him get to the Elite Eight and scare the daylights out of some people.
Yeah.
Because what he's got coming, and if he's capable of coaching like I think he is, he's going to get some enormously talented kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's done really well recruiting wise, no question about it so far in the basketball side of things. And I think Harbaugh's done, with everything going on, I think he's done relatively well. Is it top 10? No, but it's something to work with, and he's got a lot of young kids out there playing, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely agree with your Harbaugh wish. Obviously we want to keep him around. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, are you crazy? Why would you want him?"
It's like saying, "Hey, we want to keep Jim Caldwell, or we want to keep." Come on.
Yeah.
We should have kept Caldwell.
Yeah.
In hindsight, you sure as hell should have kept Caldwell.
Yeah, heck yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't wish for what's not there. And I talked last week. 10 wins, 3 years out of his 5. That's something that is Michigan standard. I mean, you like to get more. You're a couple breaks here and there from 11 or 12, even. Just a couple games there that could have went either way. In that situation. So, a lot better than when we used to sit through there at 3-9 or 5-7 or those kind of things. But yeah, the wish list obviously is to get things back to normal and to allow some fans in there to watch and get a little bit more involvement that way. And it's going to change things. Obviously, this whole year is going to change the way some people approach things. Some people say, "Oh, it won't get better till 2022," or I don't know about that. I think we're making strides. I think they're figuring things out. I watched a game the other night, a pro game. Uh, Fans were pretty well spaced out in Cleveland there, and the Browns and the Ravens game on Monday night. That felt kind of nice. That actual atmosphere there that they had in the stadium for the teams to play sports wise. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to echo on what Jim said, I think the Lions, bringing in Spielman now and maybe Barry Sanders, getting them involved with the organization this week. That's possible good sign for the Lions to potentially move forward. Hopefully making the right call here on a new hire for GM and coach. So that's something that in 2021, is it going to happen right away? No, but patience is still going to be the word for a lot of them. I mean, you got patience for Michigan State football, you got patience for Michigan football, you got patience for Lions football. So it's a big word for the sporting environment around Michigan right now. Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons, a lot of patience being exploited for the holiday 2021 time frame. So there's a lot.
Let's just hope. Let's just hope that patience pays off with
Oh yeah.
some level of reward, and not like we're having patience with the Tigers, Red Wings, and Pistons. And I'm not so sure that's going to go anywhere.
Well, I have to say this. I like anecdotes all the time, so I'm going to say this. They have a new set of seeds they're dropping in the ground for the Lions team for 2021. Let's see what grows.
Well, if it gets watered properly, it has a chance.
And good soil. And good soil.
And you can't drop them in the winter because it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about the Lions. We talk a lot about Michigan and signing day and the Bulls and all that and the rankings and stuff like that. But the Lions went out there last week and kind of showed up against the Packers, but had a little bit more fight. Ended up coming up on the short end of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, obviously the number 1 team in the NFC.
Yeah, it was wonderful to watch that step for step. They were back and forth for a while there.
So yeah, there's a comment I heard today by Ford saying Darrell Bevell probably doesn't fit what we're looking for because he has no head coaching experience.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Do the Lions need to get an experienced NFL head coach? Or do you go and get the next best guy? And oh my God, I don't want to hear anything more about the guy from Dearborn Heights who they say he's a great fit because he knows the agony that the Lions have had forever because he grew up here. I don't give a shit.
Now, that's sort of like the back alleyway thug that shows up saying, I know what's wrong here and I'll fix it.
Yeah.
We don't need. I truly think that if they curate this current coach for the minute enough to or test him through the minute, we can at least see if next year might be a better year, and then keep feeding that soil with nutrients and watering, and because if you're bringing on back staff that has years of experience with Lions, I mean that's even better, because then you can have them tell him to some extent, hey, this is what we used to do.
Yeah.
This is how it used to work. You may have a chance to grow a coach.
Yeah, because it didn't work with Bobby Ross and Steve Mariucci and a lot of others that had prior coaching experience.
Yeah, Bobby Ross, the Super Bowl. They've all been Super Bowl. And
yeah, I'm not a big fan of saying I want the next best offensive or defensive coordinator. That has failed just as often. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a name out there. You know, Bill Parcells was still coaching. I'd say Bill Parcells, but you know, he's not coaching. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you got you know, I don't know who's out there right now. An old coach.
Not many.
They used to talk about Bill Cowher. They used to talk about all these guys that that were retired doing the TV stuff. But it's in that position. Like the Rams went out and got the guy, and the Packers went out and got the guy who were the next best thing, as you're saying, Tom, that were a hot offensive guy or hot defensive guy. So I'm wondering if that's what they're going to look at as examples and saying, well, it worked for the Rams, it worked for the Packers, it's worked for other teams. Obviously the Steelers have stability, the Chiefs have stability. All these teams have stability. The Patriots obviously the same guy. So you're looking at stability, but where do you go in that standing? It's like, geez,
there's a lot of guys who've been head coaches that have not had success and got pushed on. So if you're going to hire someone that's had prior head coaching experience, they've already failed somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the big deal. It's like, well, do you get like Mariucci was hot at Niners, but had come down a little bit, so we went and got him. Bobby Ross was doing well with the Chargers, took him to the Super Bowl almost, went to the Super Bowl and then lost. So we went and got him. We're like, all right, that's great, we're ready. Patricia was a hot commodity in New England, but never worked out here. So it's really, it'll be interesting to see where their minds go, and Ron Wood and Spielman and Barry and Fords, and they said they'd probably take about 6 weeks to figure this out. So I think they got to wait to see what happens after the season, when all the teams make their decisions on their head coaches, and let them go. The Monday after the final game.
It's the town bike concept here. That's all I'm saying. Is the coach that got fired was fired for a reason, and then he goes somewhere else and he tries his best. It's right. The same. Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking for a little lightning in a bottle, and I think that's sometimes a chance where you get that route, But
if they keep the new guy for the minute that he's in his momentary tenure, I believe he can be curated with the right back staff. That's all.
Yeah, I guess the only problem is, I would say he should be 0-2. He shouldn't be 1-1, because the game that they won, it was a Lion-esque fluke win, where normally that's a Lion-esque loss.
Right.
Yeah. It was a total fluke that they won that game.
Yeah, they fumbled the ball, and we get the ball right there in the 10 yards.
So, I mean, I don't know.
This week, nobody thought they could have a chance against Green Bay.
Yeah, they did.
Thought they had a chance.
Did. Let's be honest, they didn't. The Packers were up by 2 scores a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of we scored to maybe make it. Oh, they go back ahead of us. So
is if the quarterback has to get retired.
Yeah, he is not the kind of quarterback that instills and shows a lot of leadership skills to help his team. He just doesn't do that.
And I'm sorry, maybe it's because of age or time or health conditions or whatever, but I'm saying he's got to go next.
But you see the way a lot of the NFL is going nowadays with the, Mahomes, the guy in Arizona, the new guy in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Is just going that route a little bit, sometimes, which is big, which is huge, So do they go that route, a little more agile quarterback and move around, Lamar, obviously there. Do you get Lawrence is coming out? You got the guy from Ohio State. You got the guy from BYU supposed to be pretty good. So a lot of different quarterbacks. When do the Lions take that quarterback? When do they go get that guy? Is this the draft this year? I would think this year would be the draft.
We're going to find out in 2021 after all these things are decided. Period. A great end of year.
Yeah.
Thanks for the wish list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what
And,
happens.
we all left off this in our wish list. Don't we all hope that we all stay healthy and COVID goes away?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally agree there, Tom. That's the number one priority is the COVID to be go away, like you said, and for all of us to have a prosperous and healthy 2021 for sure. That
Yeah.
we can get back at it and get a little normalcy back to our lives.
Just want to sit in a stadium. I just want to sit in a stadium.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Get together with friends and watch games, or go like Sam said, the tailgating, the fun of the tailgate, going to the tailgate party before you go into the game. And we talked about that a while back. We missed the games and going to the games. Yeah, we missed the camaraderie of hanging out and sitting there and seeing the guys on Saturday and that kind of stuff. And where Saturday, Sunday, Friday, whatever day your team's playing, that's something that's always a necessity for people.
It'll be coming back, guys. No time. Maybe May or June. Done. Guaranteed.
Hope so. I hope so.
Good one tonight. Good talk tonight, guys. This was a good talk. We covered a lot of things. I think there's some still questions in the air. We got a big weekend coming up here of football, and we'll know more next week on how the holidays going to line up as far as college goes and NFL's playing.
Hey, I got to run and take this call.
All right, Tommy.
See you,
Thanks
boys.
again, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Take care.